Do you ever feel like your mind just won't slow down? Like no matter how quiet the house gets, even when the baby is finally asleep, your thoughts are racing, your chest is tight, and you're constantly waiting for the next thing to go wrong? If you're nodding along right now, you are not alone. That lingering sense of worry, the constant mental chatter, the feeling like you're always on, those are real signs of postpartum anxiety. And they're more common than you think. I want you to know that what you're feeling is valid. This journey of motherhood, especially in the postpartum stage, can be so beautiful, but also incredibly overwhelming. Your body is recovering, your identity is shifting, your hormones are doing all kinds of gymnastics. And on top of that, you're trying to keep a tiny human alive. No wonder your brain feels like it's going a million miles a minute. But here's something really important. You don't have to just push through or wait it out. There are gentle daily habits that can help soothe your nervous system, quiet your thoughts, and bring you back to a sense of peace, even in the middle of a messy kitchen or a midnight feeding. And today, I want to share 3 simple, powerful mindfulness habits that you can start using right now to calm your mind and ease postpartum anxiety. Let's start with something deceptively simple. Intentional breathing. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Breathing? I do that all day without thinking about it. And you're absolutely right. But that's the key. Most of us breathe without thinking. When anxiety kicks in, our breath becomes shallow and rapid, which sends a signal to the brain that something is wrong. But when we flip that pattern, when we breathe intentionally, we send a different message. We tell our brain, I'm safe. I'm okay. You can relax now. One of my favorite ways to do this is with something called the 4-7-8 breath. It's super simple, and you can do it while rocking your baby, standing in the shower, or even lying in bed. Just inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold it for 7, and exhale slowly through your mouth for 8. It might feel a little awkward at first, but give it a few rounds. You'll be amazed at how it begins to soften that tension in your chest and slow down those racing thoughts. There was a mom I spoke with recently who said she started doing this while breastfeeding in the early morning hours. At first, it felt like just something to pass the time. But after a few days, she noticed she wasn't as reactive during the day. Her fuse was longer. She wasn't holding her breath during diaper changes or bracing herself when the baby cried. That's the power of breath. It doesn't change your circumstances, but it absolutely changes how you meet them. And that brings me to the next habit I want to share with you. Mindful moments. Now, I'm not talking about sitting cross-legged on a cushion in total silence for 30 minutes. Unless you want to, of course. I'm talking about those tiny pockets in your day when you pause for just a few seconds and notice what's happening around you. It might be while you're washing bottles and feeling the warm water on your hands, or the way the light hits your baby's cheek during a nap, or the sound of your own heartbeat when you're lying down for a few minutes of rest. These little moments, when we're fully present, are like anchor points. They keep us from drifting too far into worry about the future or regrets about the past. And the beauty is, they don't require any extra time. Just a shift in attention. One mom I know started doing this during her daily stroller walks. Instead of scrolling through her phone or mentally running through her to-do list, she started noticing the way the trees swayed in the wind, the rhythm of her footsteps, the smell of fresh air. She told me it turned what used to feel like just another chore into something she looked forward to. A time to ground herself, reconnect with her body, and just be. Mindfulness isn't about escaping the chaos. It's about finding moments of calm within the chaos. And when you begin to sprinkle these mindful pauses into your day, you create a kind of inner stability that anxiety just can't shake as easily. Now, here's something else I want to share, and this one might surprise you. Mindful self-talk. So often, especially in the postpartum period, we become our own harshest critics. We think things like, I should be doing more, why can't I handle this better? Or I'm such a mess. And without realizing it, those thoughts become a running commentary that feeds anxiety and erodes our confidence. But what if instead, we spoke to ourselves the way we'd speak to a close friend? What if we caught ourselves in those moments of self-judgment and gently replaced them with compassion? It could be as simple as, I'm doing the best I can right now, or this moment is hard, but it doesn't define me. These kinds of statements may seem small, but they're incredibly powerful. They create a new narrative, one rooted in kindness rather than criticism. I remember talking with a woman who used sticky notes to remind herself of this. She put them on her bathroom mirror, her fridge, even on the inside of her diaper bag. Little messages like, you're doing enough, or "Breathe, Mama, you've got this." And every time she saw one, it was like a gentle interruption to the anxiety spiral. A pause. A breath. A return to self-compassion. So now, we've explored intentional breathing, mindful moments, and a shift in self-talk. These are not big, dramatic changes. You don't need to overhaul your entire day or become a different person. You just need to plant these small seeds of awareness through your breath, your senses, and your words. And as these habits take root, you may begin to notice a shift. Not that everything suddenly becomes easy or perfect, but that you begin to feel more grounded, more capable, and more at peace in your own mind. So let's keep going. There's more I want to share with you. More ways to gently calm the nervous system and create space for peace, even in the busiest and most emotional postpartum days. Let's talk about what happens when we bring mindfulness into our bodies and our daily rhythms. So let's talk about what happens when we bring mindfulness into our bodies. Because while it's easy to think of anxiety as something that lives in our minds, it actually shows up everywhere. In our shoulders, our neck, our stomach, our breath, our posture. You might notice that your jaw is tight all day, or that your fists are clenched and you didn't even realize it. Or maybe you've been feeling drained, even though you haven't done much physically. That's because anxiety is a full-body experience. And here's the thing. We can use the body to help settle the mind. One beautiful, gentle way to do this is through something I like to call mindful movement. It doesn't need to be a long workout or a yoga class, though if that's your thing, go for it. But I'm talking about really simple, nourishing movements that help bring you back into your body with kindness. It could be stretching your arms overhead and taking a deep breath first thing in the morning. It could be swaying slowly side to side while holding your baby, and actually feeling that rhythm. Or stepping outside, barefoot if you can, and noticing the earth under your feet as you take a slow, mindful walk. One mom I worked with started doing 3-minute resets during her day. Whenever she felt like anxiety was creeping in, she'd stop what she was doing and just gently roll her shoulders, twist side to side, shake out her hands, and take a few deep breaths. That's it. Just 3 minutes. But it helped her shift from feeling frozen and frazzled to present and aware again. Sometimes, we forget that our body can be our biggest ally, if we learn how to listen to it. And if movement feels like too much right now, if you're still healing, or you're just flat out exhausted, I want to introduce you to another deeply powerful practice. Sensory grounding. This one is especially helpful during those moments when anxiety feels like it's taking over. When your thoughts are racing, your heart is pounding, and you feel like you're spiraling. Sensory grounding gently brings you back into the now by tuning into your senses. Here's how it works. Wherever you are, pause and ask yourself, what are 5 things I can see? 4 things I can feel? 3 things I can hear? 2 things I can smell? 1 thing I can taste? It might sound too simple, but the act of scanning your environment and engaging your senses helps bring your mind out of the anxious future or the heavy past and roots you right here, in the present moment. There was a woman I spoke with who used this practice every time she felt a panic attack creeping in. She kept a little card in her pocket with those prompts written down, and it became her lifeline. She said she started noticing things she'd never seen before. The tiny details of her baby's blanket, the sound of birds outside her window, the texture of the floor beneath her feet. It reminded her that right now, she was safe. And sometimes, that's all you need to start calming the storm. It's also worth mentioning that grounding doesn't always have to be a mental exercise. It can be tactile too. Something as simple as rubbing a soft piece of fabric between your fingers, holding a warm mug of tea, or massaging lotion into your hands can bring your awareness back to your body in a really soothing way. These aren't just random self-care ideas, they're actual ways of telling your nervous system, hey, it's okay. You can rest now. And this brings us to something that might seem small, but can honestly shift your entire day. A mindful morning ritual. Now, I know what mornings can look like in postpartum life. Sometimes they start at 4 a.m. Sometimes they never really start, because you've been awake all night. So when I say morning ritual, I'm not talking about some perfect Instagram-worthy routine. I'm talking about one small thing, just one, that you do in the morning for yourself and with full attention. It could be something like lighting a candle while the house is still quiet and taking 3 intentional breaths. Or stepping outside to feel the morning air on your face. Or even just drinking a glass of water slowly, noticing how it feels as you swallow. These tiny acts, when done with mindfulness, become your way of setting the tone for the day. They become your anchor before the chaos begins. One mom I know had a newborn and a toddler at home, and her mornings were wild. But she made one small commitment. Before she opened her phone, before she picked up the baby, she would sit on the edge of her bed, place her hand on her heart, and whisper, "I am enough for today." That was it. And she said that those 5 seconds completely changed how she showed up. Not just for her kids, but for herself. The truth is, these moments are less about what you're doing and more about how you're doing it. Mindfulness doesn't require a schedule or a quiet room or a special app. It just requires your presence. So whether it's taking a mindful breath, tuning into your senses, moving gently with awareness, or starting your day with one simple ritual, you are creating little pockets of peace. And those pockets add up. They create space between you and your anxious thoughts. They remind your nervous system that it's safe. And they help you reconnect with a part of you that knows how to be calm, even in the storm. Now, I know there are still going to be hard moments. No mindfulness habit can take away the real challenges of postpartum life. But what these practices can do is help you meet those challenges from a steadier place. They give you tools. They remind you that you're not powerless. And you don't have to do them perfectly. You don't even have to do them every day. Just return to them. Like a breath. Like a gentle whisper to yourself. I'm still here. I can handle this. In the next part of our conversation, I want to explore how we take all of this and weave it into the bigger picture. How we build a life that supports your calm instead of working against it. Because yes, these little mindfulness habits matter. But the environment we're in, the people we lean on, the expectations we carry, they matter too. So let's talk about what it looks like to nurture your inner peace, not just in moments, but as a way of life. Because yes, these little mindfulness habits matter. But let's also be honest. When the world around you feels chaotic, when you're sleep-deprived and overstimulated and touched out and overwhelmed, even the most beautiful habit can start to feel like just one more thing to do. That's why I want to talk about something deeper. Something quieter. And that's the idea of supporting your calm from the inside out. You see, mindfulness isn't just about what happens during a deep breath or a gentle stretch. It's also about how you shape your environment, how you relate to your own expectations, and how you choose what to carry, and what to let go of. Because the truth is, you can't create peace within if your entire life feels like it's working against you. So let's start by talking about something really foundational. Creating mindful boundaries. Now I know, boundaries can be a tricky word, especially in postpartum life when it feels like everyone needs something from you. Your baby, your partner, your family, even your own idea of who you should be. But boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about protecting what matters most. Your energy, your nervous system, your ability to show up with love instead of resentment. And here's where mindfulness comes in. When you begin to notice what drains you, what triggers anxiety, what leaves you feeling depleted, you also begin to see where boundaries are needed. Maybe it's turning off your phone for the first hour of the day. Maybe it's saying no to that well-meaning visitor who doesn't understand how tired you are. Maybe it's being honest with your partner about what kind of support you really need. There was a mom who told me once that she used to feel guilty about asking for space. She thought she had to do it all, be everything to everyone. But her anxiety kept getting louder. Her body was begging her to slow down. Eventually, she started scheduling just 1 hour a week to be alone in her room with her journal, her tea, and no interruptions. And you know what? It changed everything. She said it wasn't even about the hour. It was about giving herself permission. Permission to matter. Permission to be a person, not just a parent. And that's the shift. When you begin to treat your needs with respect, your mind starts to trust that it's being cared for. Your nervous system settles. Your anxiety loosens its grip. Not because life gets easier, but because you've drawn a line in the sand that says, I'm allowed to feel safe. I'm allowed to protect my peace. And from that place, something really beautiful starts to unfold. Self-trust. So many of us, in the thick of postpartum anxiety, start to doubt ourselves. We question every decision. We overthink every little thing. We Google until we feel more confused than before. We ask others for answers when what we really need is to remember that we already know more than we think. Mindfulness gently invites us back into that knowing. Not in some big dramatic way, but in the quiet moments when you notice your breath instead of reacting. When you catch a critical thought and choose kindness instead. When you listen to your gut before saying yes out of guilt. These are the moments that build self-trust, one mindful choice at a time. And the more you practice, the more you begin to feel like yourself again. Not the old version of you, but this new version, shaped by everything you've gone through and everything you've learned about your strength. One mom shared with me that she started writing down just one win each night before bed. Not a big accomplishment, just something that made her feel proud. Like calming the baby during a meltdown, or speaking kindly to herself after a tough day. She said that within a few weeks, she started seeing herself differently. Not as someone who was anxious or overwhelmed, but as someone who was showing up, with love and courage day after day. And honestly, that's who you are too. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're navigating one of the most intense and transformative seasons of life. And you're doing it with heart. The fact that you're even here, watching this, tells me that you care deeply. That you want peace. That you're willing to show up for yourself, even if it's just for a few minutes at a time. So let's take a breath together right now. Inhale and exhale. Let that breath be your reminder. Peace is possible. It's not something far away, waiting for the perfect day or the perfect version of you. It's here now, in this moment. And you have access to it. Through your breath, through your presence, through your choice to slow down and be gentle with yourself. Let's just take a moment to gently revisit what we've explored. Not as a list, but as a reminder that you have tools now. Tools that live inside you. The breath that grounds you. The awareness that brings you back to now. The kindness you offer yourself in the hardest moments. The movement, the stillness, the boundaries, the quiet rituals. All of it is here to support you. And if today wasn't a mindful day, that's okay. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to fix yourself. Just return. Come back to your breath. Come back to your body. Come back to the truth that you are doing your best. And your best is enough. I'd really love to hear how you've been doing lately. Have you tried any of these mindfulness habits before? Or is there something new you want to try after watching this? Share with me in the comments. I read them, and they mean more than you know. This is a space where we support each other, where your story matters. If this video spoke to you, if it helped even a little, please give it a like, and consider subscribing so we can keep walking this postpartum journey together. There's more to come, more ways to build calm, connection, and joy into your everyday life. And above all, remember this. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to feel peace. And you are so worthy of compassion. Especially from yourself. Sending you so much love, wherever you are on your journey. Until next time, take care, breathe deeply, and happy postpartum life.